The worst thing that could have ever happened to your business was being a great nurse. Stay tuned for this episode to find out why.
Hello, fellow nurse entrepreneurs. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was always wanted to help nurses work from anywhere, pretty much have their flexibility, pretty much have their freedom so that they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Joining VP Nursing was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made. If I was to have a regret, it would be that I didn't join sooner.
If they wanted to be with their children, if they wanted to be with their families, they can do exactly what they wanted to do.
Ola is the type of person, she's not going to let you stay the same. The way she levels up her clients in every area of their lives.
I could not have imagined being a nurse with my own business, being in this space with so many amazing people, with a coach that 1,000,000% cares about what my outcome is going to be.
And so here at VP Nursing, we teach nurses how to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money, owning their own time, building profitable nurse coaching, consulting, and service-based businesses. And so now we're at the beach and we're working at the beach and we're having a great time. We're doing a brand photo shoot. It's an amazing time. So if you want to learn how to work from anywhere around the world, creating that flexibility, creating that freedom for yourself, but monetizing the knowledge that you already have, join us at VP Nursing Business Academy.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So, as I stated before, the worst thing that ever happened to your business was being a great nurse. I want you to let that sit for a second. You spent years, maybe decades, mastering the art of saving lives. You showed up when you were sick. You stayed 3 hours past your shift because your patient weren't stable. You skipped lunch again and again. You cried in your car and in the parking lot garage because you lost someone, and then you walked right back in and took care of the next patient anyway. Everyone called you a rock star, a natural, the one they called when things go bad. You were the nurse other nurses wanted to work with. But the moment you started your own business, that same dedication, that same selflessness, that same relentless drive to serve became your biggest liability. And today, we're going to talk about exactly why. Now, right now, you're thinking, wait, my work ethic, that's why I'll succeed. My compassion is my competitive edge. My clinical experience, my credentials, my years at the bedside, that is what sets me apart from every other entrepreneur out there who has never held someone's hand while they took their last breath. And you're not wrong. That experience is real. That resilience is real. That grit is absolutely real. But here's what nobody tells you before you hand in that resignation letter, before you file that LLC, before you build that website and buy that Canva subscription and post that announcement on Facebook that says exciting things are coming. Nobody tells you that the very traits that made you exceptional at the bedside are the same traits that will silently sabotage your business if you don't catch them first. Nobody tells you that. And that's exactly why we are here today. Before we go any further, if this is already hitting different, if you already feel seen in the first 2 minutes of this episode, do me a favor right now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this episode with every nurse you know who has ever thought about starting a business or is already in one struggling to figure out why it feels exactly like the job they left. They need to hear this, and we will get right back into it, okay? So there's a pattern that I've identified that I call the Mahoney syndrome. It's named after Mary Eliza Mahoney, the first professionally trained Black nurse in the United States, a woman who graduated in 1879 from the New England Hospital for Women and Children after enduring one of the most brutal, grueling, and discriminatory training programs in American history. Out of 40 applicants, she was one of only 3 who finished. She was relentless. She was exceptional. She was pioneering. She gave everything, absolutely everything, to a profession that was not even sure it even wanted her. And she did it anyway. Sound like anyone you know? Mary Eliza Mahoney broke every barrier placed in front of her through sheer force of will, sacrifice, and an unshakable commitment to serving others. And that same spirit, that Mahoney spirit, lives in every nurse who has ever been overlooked, overworked, and underpaid, but showed up anyway. But here's where the syndrome comes in. The Mahoney syndrome is the invisible pattern that causes brilliant, credentialed, courageous nurses, men and women who fought to get where they are, to build businesses that look exactly like the toxic, thankless environments they fought so hard to escape. Overworked, underpaid, undervalued, running on caffeine and willpower, taking orders, except now the orders come from clients instead of physicians, staying late, except now it is your own home, on your own time with no overtime pay. You left the hospital, but the hospital never left you. Mary Eliza Mahoney spent her entire career fighting a system that undervalued her. The question is, are you fighting that same system, or did you accidentally rebuild it? The Mahoney syndrome follows you right into your business, and until you name it, which we just did, you cannot fight it. So today we're going to fight it, because here's the truth, and I need you to hear this clearly. The problem was never that you became a nurse. The problem is that nobody ever gave you the business version of nursing school until now. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable, because we're not just talking about mindset today. We're talking about three very specific, deeply wired instincts that nursing programmed into you that are actively destroying your ability to lead, to grow, and to build the business you actually left the bedside for. I called them the three boss killers. And we're going to break down every single one of them in detail today. So let's get into it. Boss killer number one, it's called the martyr move. Now, here's what the martyr move looks like in your business. You're doing everything: the invoicing, the scheduling, the social media, the client calls, the follow-ups, the content, the bookkeeping, the onboarding, the offboarding, the customer service, the operations, everything. And when someone asks you why you haven't hired yet, why you haven't delegated, why you are still doing tasks that a $10 an hour virtual assistant could handle, you say the same thing every nurse entrepreneur says: nobody does it like I do. And you know what? You're probably right. Nobody does it exactly like you. But here's the brutal truth, that nursing never taught you done by someone else is worth more than done perfectly by you. Because while you are triple checking that email, reformatting that spreadsheet, redoing the work your contractor did because it wasn't exactly how you would have done it, your business is not growing. Your zone of genius is sitting idle, and you are burning out again. See, in nursing, cutting corners costs lives. We know this. The 5 rights of medication administration exists because shortcuts kill people. Double checking exists because human error is real and the consequences are permanent. That level of perfection or precision saved your patients. But in business, that same level of perfection will kill your growth, because a business cannot scale on one person's perfectionism. It scales on systems, on teams, on trust, on letting go. And letting go goes against every single thing that nurses are trained to do. Think about it. In the hospital, you are rewarded for doing more, staying longer, putting up with the slack, covering the short staff floor, being the one who never said no. That made you the rock star nurse. In your business, that same behavior makes you the bottleneck. The martyr move feels like dedication. It looks like hard work, but what it actually is fear. Fear that if you let go of something, something will go wrong. Fear that if you delegate, you will lose control. Fear that if you slow down for 1 second, everything will fall apart. And so you martyr yourself. Again, just like you did on every 12-hour shift. Except this time, there is no paycheck at the end of it. There is no PTO. There is no union. There is no HR. There is just you running yourself into the ground in the business you built to set yourself free. Antidote to the martyr move is not working harder. It is learning for the first time in your professional life that your job as a CEO is not to do the work. It is to lead the people who do. Now that one might have stung a little, but here's the thing. Boss killer number one is actually the easiest one to fix once you see it. Boss killer number two, this one cuts deeper because it's wrapped in something that makes you a great human being, and it is quietly draining your business dry. Boss killer number two is the empathy trap. Now, empathy is a superpower as a nurse, the ability to feel what your patients feel, to sit with someone in their worst moment, to advocate fiercely for someone who cannot advocate for themselves. It is beautiful. It is necessary. It is one of the most profound human gifts you can have. And in business, unchecked, it will bankrupt you. Here's what the empathy trap looks like in real life. You have a client who is struggling to pay. You know their situation. You know their story. They're going through something hard. And so you let the invoice slide again and again because you are a nurse. And nurses don't turn their backs on people who are struggling, except this is not a patient. This is a business transaction. And that money you are not collecting is a bill you cannot pay. As a team member, you cannot hire. And it is a business that is slowly bleeding out on the table while you are too empathetic to apply pressure. But let's go deeper, because the empathy trap doesn't just show up with clients. It shows up with your team. And this is the part I really need you to sit with today. There's a quote by a pastor and leadership coach. His name is Darius Daniels that I want you to write down right now. Okay. So tattoo it on your arm somewhere. Put it in your bathroom mirror. Okay. Set it on as your phone wallpaper. He said, you don't go as far as your dream. You go as far as your team. Read that again. You don't go as far as your dream. You go as far as your team, which means the people sitting on the right team right now, their ceiling is your ceiling. Their limitation is your limitation. Their mediocrity is your mediocrity. And here's where the empathy trap becomes absolutely devastating for nurse entrepreneurs. You are keeping employees who are good, not great. Good. And in nursing, good is good enough. Good keeps patients alive. Good passes the audit. Good gets you through the shift. But in business, good is the enemy of great. And great is the only thing that gets you to where you are trying to go. Think about your team right now. Think about the person that always does just enough, who meets the minimum, who never misses, who never exceeds, who shows up but never steps up. They are not bad employees. They're a good employee. And you have kept them because you know their situation. You know they are trying. You know they have been through something. You know if you let them go, then they're going to struggle. So you accommodate, you adjust, you quietly pick up their slack. You give them another chance and another, but you are a nurse, and nurses advocate for people. Nurses give second chances. Nurses believe in people, even when the data says otherwise. But here's the hard truth that the empathy trap does not want you to hear. Keeping a good employee in a role that requires greatness is not kindness. It is avoidance. It is avoiding a hard conversation because it feels like abandonment. Because in nursing, abandoning someone in need is the ultimate failure. But your business is not a hospital, and your team is not your patient. Your business deserves people who are all in, who are growing, who are hungry, who do not need to be managed in doing the bare minimum. Because remember what Darius Daniels said, you don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And if your team is full of good, you will build a good business. Is that what you left nursing for? For good? Or did you leave it for great? The empathy trap will keep you comfortable and good forever if you let it. The antidote is not becoming heartless, it's becoming honest. Honest with your clients about what you are worth. Honest with your team about what you require. Honest with yourself about what your business actually needs to survive and thrive. Empathy without boundaries is not a virtue, it's business. It is a liability. Okay? Now, I know that this one hit hard, and I want you to know everything we are talking about today comes from a place of deep respect for who you are and what you have sacrificed. We're not done yet, because boss killer number 3 is the one that is the most sneaky, the most invisible, the most dressed up as a strength when it is actually a cage. Boss killer number 3, the protocol prison. In nursing, protocols save lives. Full stop. There is a right way and a wrong way. There is policy for everything. There is a chain of command. There is a procedure. There is a checklist. And following those protocols precisely, consistently, without deviation is what makes an excellent clinician. But a business, rigid protocol following will strangle your growth before it ever has a chance to breathe. Here's what the protocol prison looks like in your business. You spend weeks building your systems before you ever launch. You create the perfect onboarding process. You perfect client contract, the perfect intake form, the perfect operations manual, everything mapped out, everything in order, everything by the book. And then you wait because it does not feel ready. Because in nursing, you don't start a procedure until you have everything you need. You do not administer medication until every box is checked. So you wait until it's perfect. And while you wait, someone else launches, someone with half your credentials and quarter of your experience, someone who did not wait until it was perfect, someone who built the plane while they were flying it. And they are now in the name in the industry that you wish you had become. The protocol prison also shows up in how you make decisions. In the hospital, you escalate, you consult, you get an order. You do not make unilateral decisions without authorization. You work within the system. But in business, you are the system. There is no attending to call. There is no supervisor to approve your idea. There is no policy manual for the decision you are staring at right now. And for nurses, that is terrifying because we were trained that independent decision making without protocol is dangerous. We were trained that the system exists to protect the patient. We were trained to trust the hierarchy. But in business, the hierarchy is you. And if you keep waiting for permission, for the perfect system, for the right moment, for someone to tell you that you are ready, you will wait forever. The protocol prison is also why so many nurse entrepreneurs refuse to pivot. In nursing, you not change the treatment protocol without a new order. You follow the plan until the plan changes. But in business, the ability to pivot quickly, to read the market, to abandon what is not working and try something new, that is not recklessness. That's survival. The antidote to the protocol prison is not throwing out structure entirely, because structure matters in business. Systems matter. Consistency matter. But the structure has to serve the vision, not replace it. Now, you have to learn to make decisions in motion. You launch before you are ready. You trust your gut the way you trusted your clinical instinct when something was wrong with your patient and the chart said that they were fine. You already know how to read the room. You already know how to make fast decisions under pressure. You already know how to act when situations demand it. You did it every single shift. Now it is time for you to do it in your business. So let's bring it all together. Every hospital in the country trains you to be selfless, but your business needs you to be strategic. Every shift trains you to serve, but your business needs you to lead. Every protocol trains you to follow, but your business needs you to decide. Every patient trains your empathy, but your business needs your boundaries. Nursing made you incredible, but the unexamined nurse in you is making you a terrible boss. And here's what's the most important thing I will say today. It's not your fault. Nobody deprogrammed you before you launch. Nobody sat you down and said, okay, everything you learned at the bedside, here's what transfers and here's what you have to leave behind. Nobody gave you that class until now. Mary Eliza Mahoney did not wait for the systems to make space for her. She built her legacy in spite of it. And that's exactly what you're going to do. So right now, you are thinking one or two things. Either this is exactly what I needed to hear. I didn't even know that I needed to hear this. Or this is exactly what I was afraid was true, and I have been avoiding it. Either way, you already know this podcast was made for you because you did not leave nursing to build another prison with a better view. You left to build something that finally reflects the brilliance, the sacrifice, the vision that you have been carrying your entire career. And that starts here. That starts today. That starts with telling the truth about what has been holding you back and being brave enough to do something about it. And before I let you go, this episode spoke something to you real today. If you heard yourself in any of the three boss killers, if you finally ready to build a business that matches the nurse you already are, please like this episode, subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening right now, and share it with the nurse group chat or colleagues, your friends who are still on the fence about starting a business, and the ones who already started and are quietly struggling. The content is free, but it is not cheap. And the right episode in the right ears at the right time changes everything. So now let's get to work. Now, welcome to the Millionaire Nurse CEO podcast. This podcast diagnoses the Mahoney syndrome, treats it aggressively, and discharges you as the CEO that you were always meant to be. Mary Eliza Mahoney broke every barrier to earn her place. Now it's time to build yours. New episode every week. You ladies and gentlemen have an amazing rest of your day and join us for our next masterclass.